Week 3 of the fantasy football season, and here's a few tight ends I looked at off the wire this week. The first guy, Gerald Everett of the Los Angeles Chargers. Everett, I mentioned him last week as an ad, and he's been playing good football so far in the first 2 weeks of the season here. Right now, not available in many fantasy leagues, only available in 43% of leagues here is Everett. But tight end, it's been a hit-or-miss type of position so far this season. But Everett, he's been hitting so far. Week 1 versus Vegas, 3 catches, 54 yards, and a touchdown. In Week 2 with the Kansas City Chiefs, he started off slow in that one, but on 10 targets, 6 catches, 71 yards. So Week 3 here, he's got a pretty good matchup versus the Jacksonville Jaguars, even though we saw them just shut out the Indianapolis Colts. But obviously this Charger offense is way better than this Colt offense here. And if Keenan Allen's going to be out again, some target shares are going to go to Gerald Everett like we saw in Week 2 at Kansas City. And he's a guy that can make plays. And to be honest, he's a guy that could be a wide receiver if he really wanted to with Gerald Everett. That's how talented he is and athletic. And I just don't think he's reached his full potential. In Los Angeles with the Rams, he was in and out, him and Tyler Higbee as the starters. And then last season, he did get it going at the end of the season with the Seattle Seahawks. But now here, so far in the first couple weeks of the year, he's been good with the Chargers. And he's a tight end that I think should be owned by the end of the week here. And 80% of fantasy leagues or more, so I would go out there and get him while he's still available in a slight amount of leagues at 43%. The next tight end is Mike Gesicki of the Miami Dolphins. So Mike Gesicki last season, he had a good rapport with Tagovailoa, but so far, a lot of people gave up on him after Week 1. I didn't say drop him, I just said to bench him after versus New England. He only had 1 catch for 1 yard, but in Week 2 in that crazy ball game, 4 catches, 41 yards, and a touchdown. And a lot of people over the last few years as well have compared him to a mini Travis Kelce, even though I don't know if he's going to be that good here. But this offense is dynamic. Defenses obviously are going to be paying attention to Waddle and Tyreek Hill, with Gesicki work in the middle of the field and work in that red zone. In Week 3 here, it's going to be a great matchup with the Bills and the Miami Dolphins, both division rivals in the AFC East here. Both 2-0 to start the season, and yeah, it's a tough matchup, no doubt about it, versus the Buffalo Bills. But right here, if the Dolphins want to take the next step, this is a big ball game, even though I know it's only Week 3. I think Mike Gesicki can make a few plays in this ball game, and right now, he's way underowned. He's available in tons of leagues at 73%. And if you need a tight end, I think Gesicki's a good ad this week off the wire. The next tight end is Logan Thomas of the Washington Commanders. So a lot of Commanders on these waiver wire videos this week here. And this is an offense with some good weapons, and Carson Wentz, he's getting the football to these guys. After the last few seasons, they've been through a carousel of quarterbacks as Washington, but at least with Wentz, he could get the football down the field, and this team could compete. Last season, I thought they had that with Fitzpatrick, but he went down with injury in Week 1, and that was the end of that, and he's retired anyway. So Thomas coming off an off-season knee surgery. So far, the first couple of weeks of the season, he's been serviceable. Week 1 versus Jacksonville, 3 catches, 45 yards. In Week 2 with Detroit, 3 catches, 37 yards, and a touchdown. So Week 3 here versus Philly, it's a pretty decent matchup. We just saw Irv Smith Jr. score a touchdown, and then he dropped another deep ball that probably would have been a touchdown. So he would have had a huge game in that Monday night game, was Irv Smith Jr., but he couldn't get the job done on that second one. So Logan Thomas, we know he's a big target. We know he's a guy that works the red zone well. And him and Carson Wentz so far look like they have a good connection and good work ethic together, of these two guys trying to get better. So right here, Thomas available in tons of fantasy leagues at 86%. And if you need a tight end, he's definitely a guy. We'll go out there and get this Commander offense. Like I said, they got some good weapons on this team that you definitely could use for your fantasy team. The next tight end is Isaiah Likely of the Baltimore Ravens. So a lot of buzz for the rookie Likely coming out of training camp here. And he made a few catches in Sunday's ball game. 4 catches, 43 yards for Likely. And this guy, he could run like a wide receiver. He could go up there and get the jump ball, and he could do it all. And he just needs the opportunity. And obviously with Mark Andrews over there, he's not going to get that much of opportunity lining up as a tight end. But as a receiver, I think we could see it happen. Bateman, he's looked great so far. Duvernay's looked good, but he left that ball game with a concussion in Week 2, and Likely got an opportunity in Week 2, 5 targets, 4 catches, 43 yards. Week 1 at the New York Jets, and that one 4 targets, but he didn't do anything with them. So right here, a deeper league flyer, Likely's a guy I would take a shot on, and right now he's available in 94% of fantasy leagues. But I said a lot of buzz with him, and we'll see if they integrate him into the offense even more over the next few weeks. But it's definitely been a light week at tight end. Besides Gesicki, Thomas, and Everett, these other guys are more of taking a shot with them. And the fifth and final tight ends, Irv Smith Jr. of the Minnesota Vikings. So Irv Smith Jr., I mentioned him early in the video. He could have had an insane fantasy day, but he still had a decent one. 5 catches, 36 yards, and a touchdown. But Kirk Cousins, he hit him on a deep ball where he had 2 defenders beat by at least 10 yards with Irv Smith Jr., but he just dropped it looking to run without of the football, or he would add 100 yards about and 2 touchdowns on the night. So right now he got dropped in 16% of fantasy leagues from week 1 to 2. But right now he's back on the tight end radar. A good 14.60 fantasy day here for Irv Smith. And he's just going to be up and down as Irv Smith Jr. But week 3, a good matchup versus the Detroit Lions. That can't stop anyone on defense here. And I think Irv Smith could have a decent game with a coverage obviously rolled to Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen. And he's a guy that could work in the red zone, and he could burn the secondary as well, like we saw in that Eagle game. He just had to execute the catch and make the play, which he didn't. But right now, he's out there in tons of fantasy leagues. Is Irv Smith Jr. in 59% of leagues, and he's a tight end I would add this week. So that's a few tight ends I would add off the wire for week 3 of the fantasy football season.